Hey guys, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we are playing Dino Crisis on the PlayStation 1. And if you're curious about what this game is about, I'm guessing it involves dinosaurs and some sort of crisis. Alright, I'm really reaching hard to be funny here. Anyway, this is basically Resident Evil with dinosaurs. So which makes this different beside obviously dinosaurs is that everything is fully rendered in polygons versus Resident Evil, which had pre-rendered cutscenes. Now that comes with its pros and cons. The pros are you actually can move the camera around while the character moves around. The cons are environments aren't going to be terribly detailed, as well as the characters, because more polygons are being used and you have limited resources. Hopefully you can look at and read all this stuff on your tiny little YouTube screen. If you see it on the TV, you probably can read it. I figured I'd add it just because. Kind of feel like this is something that could have been done with notes or whatever, and it went straight to like a cutscene or whatever, because it doesn't really match the quality of this kind of static computer screen, and then it goes straight into a cutscene. But anyway, each entry in the Dino Crisis series is quite different. Unfortunately, we are not covering Dino Crisis 3. One of the reasons is because I do not have an original Xbox. Another reason is I don't really want the game. That one takes place in space and is an action game, so you can imagine how different the series evolved with time. This is very much a survival horror type game, which makes this a little bit better in terms of, I guess, in difficulty, although that might not be better for you. And even though, like, later on in Resident Evil, you fight zombies and shit like that, but you start off fighting velociraptors in this game, which are a lot more of a pain to deal with than some slow trotting zombie. Now, for the Resident Evil remake, they kind of addressed that and made that game way harder. Another difference in this game that I can point out is that if you get hurt in a specific way, like if the dinosaur like bites you really bad or whatever, you'll slowly bleed to death, actually fairly quickly. But you know, whatever, they might consider it slow. You don't die immediately, that's all I'm getting to. But you have to use like these things called like hemostats, I believe they're called, and if you don't use those, you'll bleed to death, even though like you might not get hit again, you could still die, which kind of sucks because there's only a limited amount of those. And there's little traps and stuff like you can set up with lasers and stuff like that. At the time, these cutscenes were considered quite good. Now they sort of look silly, like they're made out of Play-Doh or something. Everybody's like super muscular, but I think they did that back then because, you know, they weren't really able to render, at least with the video game budget, they weren't able to really render clothes and cloth and have all those physics for the fabric and stuff all that well. But at the time, this was a pretty impressive cutscene. Also, I like the fact that Capcom once again used like a female protagonist. So all you feminists out there, you have a female protagonist and she's not overly sexualized like a lot of people complain about, which I could see that could be annoying if it was every game, but people tend to forget that there are games out there that does not do that, and she's the protagonist. She doesn't act stupid or anything like that, although the voice acting in this game is quite bad. This scene looks like it's straight out of from Jurassic Park: The Lost World, the second Jurassic Park movie, if you don't know what that is, where the velociraptors are running, except now it's a T-Rex. I almost feel like they stole the T-Rex sound clip from Jurassic Park. Maybe Jurassic Park stole it from something else, but this T-Rex sounds exactly like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. There might be subtle differences, but I think it does, and it still has that design. if you look at other media with T-Rexes in it, they don't usually look like the Jurassic Park versions, especially before Jurassic Park. After Jurassic Park, you might see it a little bit more, but you know, I think everybody just really liked the Jurassic Park design, and the Velociraptors too are like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park in itself is kind of interesting because Jurassic Park kind of followed like what they knew about dinosaurs at the time, and they made them look according to the information that we have. But now we have more information on dinosaurs, and we found out that they might not necessarily look like the actual versions of those dinosaurs that existed in real life. And Jurassic World actually went on to that. I'm not spoiling it or anything because they kind of said what they did in the original movies. They just kind of acknowledged it a bit more, where they had to fill in the slices of DNA. So, like the missing parts of the DNA or whatever, they had to splice together some DNA from some other animals and stuff like that in order for the dinosaurs to exist, because I guess it deteriorated or whatever, and for them to come back in an ostrich egg. I don't know, it's pseudoscience. But anyway, yeah, they kind of explained that's the reason why the dinosaurs look the way they do, and the dinosaurs are a little bit more funky in Jurassic World because of it. But hey, it works. It was a fun summer flick. I wouldn't mind seeing it again. Way better than Jurassic Park The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, which I watched again a few months ago. Really didn't live up to what I remember. Sometimes I'm scared to go back to things in my childhood because I have such fond memories of them, and then they don't live up to expectation. Fortunately, Dino Crisis, on the other hand, does live up to expectation, although the outside environments leave a little left to be desired due to the use of just exclusively polygons. You get a lot of fog in the background. I guess that adds a little bit for the horror element, but it does kind of become a little pain in the ass when you can't really see past 15 feet in front of you. Luckily, this particular Dino Crisis is not an action game and plays very much like Resident Evil and a return to the survival horror roots. Although, me personally, I don't find dinosaurs particularly scary. Perhaps if I saw one in real life, it would be more frightening. But I don't know, like, zombies are kind of like creepy because they're kind of you, not that zombie movies scare me either. I've been like numb, but I just feel like if you had to pick one or the other, zombies are a little bit scarier. And I think what makes zombies scary to me, well, first of all, if you have a really good one, and this is speaking from an artistic special effects interest standpoint, I love it when the artist goes all crazy with the decomposition. I think that would make it creepier or whatever. But it's the fact that it's a human. But the part about zombies that really, I think, get to me is the fact that it's like rabies. It's like a contracted virus. If they bite you, you get this fever to the point where basically your brain like cooks itself, and you turn into these mindless things. It's almost like having brain damage, or like the advanced stages of Alzheimer's disease. It just seems very, very terrible. Not only do you turn into a zombie, you have like this horrible death before it even happens, to the point where a lot of people in like the zombie movies shoot themselves in the head. Dinosaurs, to me, they're like they're like extinct. I was about to say endangered, like there's like some hidden dinosaur in a cave of Costa Rica or something. They're endangered, and and they live in a hidden cave in Costa Rica. No, they're extinct animals to me, and basically, I don't know. I don't find that very frightening. Maybe it's because I like animals and reptiles and stuff like that. I don't know. closest thing I've been to a dinosaur is being in Florida and seeing alligators just about everywhere. Every time you walk past any body of water, there's like an alligator in there. And they're one of the laziest creatures I've ever seen in my entire life, but I would not swim with them because that would just be very, very foolish. Although they had like these freaking redneck people, they like had like rebel flag bandanas on, you know, like probably Bud Light wife beater shirts on, and they're fucking throwing rocks at the damn alligators. Now, granted, the alligators are somewhat lazy, but I imagine if you bug it enough, like an alligator can outrun you. They're cold-blooded, so they expend their like energy like really fast. If I'm not using the right terminology here, you'll have to forgive me. I'm recording a commentary, and they're usually awkward because recording commentaries isn't something I do 24/7, so it's not second nature to me, but I'm trying after 600 videos. I think they're steadily getting better, but maybe by like 4,000 I'll really have it together. But yeah, and I'm just like, if that alligator really wanted to, it could probably take one of the children. What are you going to do? Throw rocks at it as it drags your child into the murky, swampy depths? I don't think so. But usually an alligator is only really aggressive, like if it's starving, which doesn't happen often. They don't have to really eat that often, and are like the young ones are nearby. As were they young ones or younglings, whatever they call the little Jedi Knights on Star Wars Episode 3, the younglings. They killed the younglings. I can't talk like Obi-Wan. They killed the younglings. That's my best thing, and that was really horrible. It's really horrible that Anakin killed the younglings or whatever, but I'd say bravo for actually not making the whole movie whimsical like the prequels before it, although it did have its dark moment in episode 2. But I always thought it was silly when, even though some people are like, oh man, that's super serious, but Anakin's mom just laid there and died, which it was serious until when she died, she laid there and just made this sound. She went, and she stopped, and then she went, like she had to catch her breath. She went, and then she went,
that's disgusting.
Okay, that's not really true. She just went, which we busted out in the theaters, and there was somebody busted out laughing in the theaters. We didn't bust out in the theaters, whatever that means. But the guy beside us was getting really pissed off with us because we already had seen the movie, so we knew it was coming, but he wasn't too keen on us being like assholes, and I probably would have been pissed off if it was the first time I saw it too, because, you know, it's his Star Wars experience. Maybe he saw it more than once, so who am I saying? Maybe he was just being like overly grouchy. I don't know. The reason why I'm off topic, I want to blame because this game's kind of hard to talk about because it's a puzzle game where you go back and forward, but you know, it's really because I go off topic a lot. But I'm sure if you watch enough of my videos, you would realize this. This game is somewhat dark in certain areas. So, lucky for you, I tried to turn the brightness up without making the whites look super oversaturated. There's only so much I can do. I think part of it records that way on older games, but you know, shit in one hand, wish in the other, and see which one gets filled up first. But you know, I'm just gonna go with the flow, do the best I can. Really want to share this movie. Oh, a color-coded puzzle, which are awesome for me because, you know, I'm colorblind and I can't fucking see it. And at this point, I didn't even realize it was a color-coded puzzle. I just thought I just had to put all the switches down, but I'll find out later. If you're not already aware, I'm recording the commentary afterwards just because lately it's been easier to, like, record the videos and then talk later, especially with these kind of games where you have to think. But obviously, seeing me play this, I'm not doing a whole lot of thinking because I just walked past what I had to do. Luckily, I figure it out at some point. Spoiler alert. Nothing really spoils the game, but you know. This game unfortunately still has the tank controls. I say unfortunately, but until the Resident Evil remake, these classic survival horror games always had tank controls. And just to put that in perspective, the Resident Evil remake remastered version, the remake actually came on GameCube quite some time ago, but the remastered version is the one that doesn't have tank controls. And that came out earlier this year. I'm recording this September 18th, 2015. So hopefully that'll give you some perspective. This also, oddly enough, does not have the 180-degree turn, which I thought it would, because Resident Evil Code Veronica and Resident Evil 3 came out roughly around similar times as this game. A matter of fact, Dino Crisis came out with a demo of Resident Evil 3, which I think is the first one to have the 180-degree turn. Essentially what the 180-degree turn is to help you out with the tank controls, where you would push the opposite direction and run, and you would instantly turn around, which is really helpful for tank controls. I'm kind of used to tank controls, not so much in this game because it's been a while, because I've been spoiled playing recent games. In between recordings of this, I've been playing the shit out of Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain, the PlayStation 4 version, if you're curious what platform I'm playing it on. I'm actually thinking about doing more videos of that, because I want to get the Mad Max, but I really don't want to rush either game. I want to give both games my full divided attention. I started playing both of them separately at the same time, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get the full experience of either one game. I decided Metal Gear Solid 5 just because I favored it more. That might be my game of the year. I'm probably gonna have to decide between that and Batman as my game of the year if I do a game of the year video. Probably already said this in a different video, but I like repeating myself. You know, maybe I'll throw in a word that I didn't throw in last time I said it. Who knows? You know, the mystery's up there. It makes the video exciting. So I was looking at that forklift basically because there was like it says that you can charge a battery, and I figured maybe developers of this game never really use the forklift, and this one's battery operated. Typically a forklift uses a propane tank. It might use a battery for the electrical parts, but, you know, I don't know. You gotta kind of use the logic when you play these games, that maybe there's a battery in there, but at this point in time, I didn't need a battery. I don't know what you need a battery for. I'm sure since it's a survival horror game, you're gonna find a battery in a random place far away, and you gotta backtrack. I haven't played this game for a while. This recording is literally the first time I've played this game, like, in years, beside when I first bought it, and I just tested it out to make sure it worked so I wouldn't embarrass myself when trying to record the video and it didn't work or something. But instead, I'm embarrassing myself with gameplay. I always say, when I play games like without recording, I do so much better, but this video is not really helping out that case. But I do play usually better, but this game, since it involves a lot of backtracking and taking items and puzzle solving and stuff like that, and I feel like some of the level designs, it's kind of a con, sort of looks similar, so, and the camera kind of switches randomly sometimes, so it's easy to go through the door sometimes you already been through one time, or be in an area that looks similar. Sometimes that makes it a little bit confusing, but overall it works fairly well, and I'm surprised that they didn't try more of these polygonal survival horror games. Silent Hill did it, and they did actually a pretty good job, but like I said, the problem with like the actually polygonal rendered backgrounds is that the character's polygon count ends up being somewhat low, and yeah, like the backgrounds are a little bit simplified and blocky, but they seem to do a pretty good job on rendering Regina, but everybody else like looks like they were built out of Legos, unfortunately. And yeah, I know she's wearing like this weird spandex suit, but so are the dudes. They're kind of like all muscular or whatever. I don't know. There's like really no armor on them, but I mean, she's not showing a lot of skin and stuff like that. And the only reason why I bring it up, because that's been like the popular thing to talk about, and I just hear all this stupid shit from people who don't really play video games that make all these assumptions. I played enough video games, and not just the AAA titles, so I have a good idea of what's what. I'm not gonna lie, there are those video games out there that do over sexualize something, and if I'm playing the game and making a video out of it, I don't mind pointing it out. You know, there's a game for everybody out there, but I mean, for the survival horror games, there's a lot of like strong female characters. They might not be acted the best or like voice wise, as you can probably see if you can hear it. I don't know, I have the sound turned down. I don't know what's gonna go through the video or not. I have to make sure my commentary is higher, because I know you guys want to hear me instead of the actual commentary. So this puzzle's pretty easy for the average person. Basically, you look at the switches on the other end of the wall and then try to put the colors in the order that the switches have their colors in. It's sort of hard for me because I'm colorblind. The green and whitish color, I don't know what color that is. It's bright. It almost looks pink to me, to be honest with you. I'm red and green colorblind, so I really don't know. It's the one that's at the end. It looks white, but then when you see the actual physical thing, it looks like a different color to me. The colors don't really match all that well, except like maybe the first two, I can tell. Some shades of red and green I can see fine, but you know, it just depends how much red or green's in something, how dark or how light it is. Usually when you tell somebody that you're colorblind, if you're colorblind, that person will point to other things and ask you, what color do you think this is? What color do you think that is? It's like, I don't have fucking predator vision. I can see colors a little bit. And if any of you watch this that have actually asked me that, I'm not specifically picking on you. Everybody that I tell does it. It's just like one of those things, I guess. It doesn't hurt my feelings or anything. I just think it's kind of funny, because sometimes when somebody is about to ask you, you can always say like, "Oh, I bet you're gonna ask me what color that was, weren't you?" And they'll shrug it off. They're like, "Yeah," and I'm generalizing here. Some people, not everyone, so I can be specific, so I don't hurt anyone's feelings. Like their feelings would actually be hurt over that, but just in case. There's a glimpse of the Velociraptor. I can't remember or not. This game actually might. No, I'm thinking of. There was like this Jurassic Park fighting game that I was thinking about, where like when you scratch the dinosaurs and stuff, their wounds would actually show, like where they got hit and stuff like that. And the dinosaurs look very much like the dinosaurs in this game, so I had a flashback of that game. The game looked really good, but if I remember correctly, it wasn't really all that fun. Now that I'm talking about it, if I saw it for cheap, I might buy it, and I would definitely do a video of it. But no, I just think these dinosaurs drop dead. That one was an easy kill. I did put this on easy, as you probably saw, just for the sake that I'm doing a video, even though I'm not doing all too well on this, because I'm basically running around in circles because the level looks somewhat similar. There is a map that you can use, but you know, I'm too good for that. I don't need no directions. Apparently there's a misnomer that a lot of people have, that guys don't like to ask for directions. Yeah, like fuck that. If I don't have a GPS, I'm all about like the maps and asking where the hell I need to go. I don't want to fucking accidentally drive into like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as if that was actually a possibility. Like that would be an awful long drive in the wrong direction, and then happen to end up in a massacre. Considering I live in Virginia, but you know, for commentary wise purposes, it makes a great story, super compelling. I think it's my material, so obviously I'm gonna say it's compelling, and I am rambling like a motherfucker. That's because I'm just seeing somebody talking on their supposed comms device that they just put like this big red ball over her hand to make it look like she's talking on something electronic. Clever for the time, I'd say. But yeah, that raptor went down way easier than what you'll typically come across. I don't think I've ever played this on easy before, but I know in normal mode they'll like lunge at you and shit like that where you really can't get out of the way. A lot of times this game like encourages you to fight. As we go into the office hallway, we should see some demonstration of that. Like you have like these like mazes and stuff with like laser grids basically in the interiors of these buildings where you can block off the raptors, but at some point you'll usually have to get through and you'll usually have to fight off the dinosaur. And in this game, well, in any game you really don't want to get hit, but in this game if you get hit, you're a lot of times really screwed if you get hit like 2 times or so, because then like I said, you start bleeding out. And once you bleed out, like you'll look at your life bar and it's like draining really fast. Like the second game actually has like a traditional like old school life bar that's like a strip, and I mean that thing like goes from like fucking whatever direction to empty it is. I don't want to say right to left or left to right because I can't remember exactly which one. And there'll be like this like super like obsessed Capcom nurse like, you are wrong, it goes from left to right, not right to left. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. And he's like, why don't you kill yourself? I was like, I never thought about it that way, but since I'm just dyslexic as a motherfucker, I just don't honestly know how I can go on anymore. Thanks for putting this in my head, because you know, jeez, I knew it was bad, but I really needed somebody else to tell me how bad it actually was. And he's like, but when you try to kill yourself, you will aim the gun the wrong way because you are a dyslexic motherfucker. So do the opposite of what you were going to try to do when you try to kill yourself. And I'll be like, I'll keep that in mind. And I'd still fuck it up somehow if I followed the person that's never going to talk to me's advice. But, yeah, either way the bar goes, like, it drains. And people that like Capcom don't sound like robots. So if you're a Capcom fan, which I am too, at least old school Capcom, but they are changing their ways, it seems, except for whatever reason they're coming out with another Resident Evil Raccoon City, Operation Raccoon City sequel, which is bizarre to me because it seemed like they were going back to the survival horror roots with Resident Evil Remake HD and Zero coming out on a physical disc next year. Thank goodness. And the remake of Resident Evil 2. And I haven't got to play a lot of Resident Evil Revelations, but that game seems awesome too. Another game that has a strong female character that's not dressed up in the bikini or whatever. So, yeah. If you're looking for games that don't over-sexualize women, maybe that's the kind of games you should be checking out. I honestly don't mind. I don't care if they do it with guys or whatever, you know, as long as the game's fun. Or if I don't care for that game, I just don't play it, you know? In order for the games that I like exist, and I'm not saying I seek out like the games with scantily clad women in it. I more seek out games that have gameplay or a story that's appealing to me, but are characters that seem cool or whatever. And sometimes like even art design or whatever. There's a lot of factors. Let's just say that. I don't need to list off this gigantic list. He kind of looks like an Egyptian sculpture. Like, he doesn't look very human. He looks humanoid, like those hybrids they talk about on, like, those alien abduction shows where they mix human DNA with aliens. Going way off track here. But anyway, for games that exist that I want to play, I fully validate the right for somebody to make a game that might be offensive to me that I might not want to play. I mean, that's the way it goes. That's how it goes with freedom of speech, and I feel the same way with art. Of course, somebody could come up with some extreme point that would negate everything, but, you know, in general, rule of thumb, that's how I feel. So we have a disc, which looks like it's on one of those little mini disc player things, which were all the rave at the time for 3 months. My parents are actually part of the DJing business and actually used those things. I guess they were better than making your own burn CDs at the time, because at the time, I guess having a disc burner was pretty expensive, if I remember correctly. This was around, let me throw out some numbers here. I'm just gonna say late 90s or whatever. But yeah, they had the mini disc player. I think they still sell the mini disc, to be honest with you. I don't really see what's so great about them, but they still make them. Maybe there's something special. Maybe the music isn't compressed, although I see it hard to have it not compressed on, like, a little tiny ass CD like that. I don't even know if that's, like, I would imagine it looks like a digital, like, because it looks like a mini CD, but maybe it's analog. I don't know. Like, because I think Laserdisc, even though it's like a disc, it uses some sort of analog signal or whatever, where people swear that Laserdiscs have some sort of better quality than DVD, but those are enthusiasts. It's like asking somebody that likes records more than CDs or vice versa. But anyway, I've rambled enough. This is Dino Crisis for the PlayStation 1. I would definitely check it out if you like survival horror games and want to see something beside Resident Evil or Silent Hill. You have to get over the older graphics, but I think it holds up quite well, and there's enough turns and twists to the genre to make it kind of interesting. Stay tuned for Dino Crisis 2 eventually at some point. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are all doing fantastic. Take care. Bye.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.